Welcome, everyone, to Friday 15 with Master B2B. My name is Brian Beck. I'm here with Andy Hoare, my partner, in our weekly podcast series here, talking about B2B e-commerce, digital transformation for manufacturers and distributors. Andy, welcome to another Friday 15.
Yeah, good to be here on the road again. But yeah, good to be here. This one's near and dear to my heart. Last week's Friday 15 was near and dear to your heart. This one's very near and dear to my heart.
Yes, absolutely. We've got an exciting topic to talk about today. But of course, before we get into that, we need to do our breaking news. I love saying that. Andy, did you see this? OpenAI ChatGPT now lets users buy from Etsy, Shopify, and Push for chatbot shopping. So ChatGPT users can now buy directly from Etsy. And soon they'll be able to do the same with Shopify, Commerce Tools customers too, Andy. So really fascinating, really extending out across channels. What's your reaction to this?
Yeah, this week was interesting because there were so many stories that broke just in the AI space that we had to pick just one. And this was among the biggest. There were others about, we'll talk about maybe next week. There's been talk about this for the longest time, but they actually showed it and delivered it. And the first iteration is with Etsy. Where, in fact, I think we have a slide where we can show people who can see this. This is what it looks like, so you type in something like, can I help you find can you help me find a great housewarming gift, for a certain price? And then it shows right in ChatGPT the image, and it allows you to buy it right there. Wow. And pay for it right there, and then be delivered immediately. So I never left ChatGPT's ecosystem, but I bought this from Etsy. Yeah. It's hard to believe this isn't going to be the future. A lot of B2C buying. We'll see about B2B, but this was, I think, a bit of a game changer.
Well, what's interesting about it too, Andy, is it kind of mirrors what Google did with their Google Shopping, or has done with Google Shopping over the years, where they've enabled shopping right within the platform. Meta and with its Facebook platform has done things like this, where they allow people to shop within social. I think the problem with that model is the intent, right? The intent isn't necessarily there when you're in social to make purchases, but in this case, if you're on ChatGPT and you can buy it, so it's more similar to what Google's done, I think, with some level of success. So it's fascinating. So they're this is what is most remarkable about this. ChatGPT is now 20% of Walmart's referral traffic. Yet Amazon's not playing. Interesting. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, no, this is a big deal. This is the driving force behind it. Obviously, it only happens if there's a reason, and this is the reason. ChatGPT is now driving 20% of all referral traffic to Etsy, 15% to Target, 10% to eBay, and stuff that's happening now.
Yeah, no doubt. So it's really impacting the world. But what's most fascinating about this, Andy, is that Amazon is not participating in this model, where they're saying, hey, we're not allowing ChatGPT, OpenAI to access our information. So they're not playing ball. They don't have a partnership, right?
And they will eventually. I mean, it's a competitor. That's the problem. It was now it's sort of three companies competing at the very front end. We've got ChatGPT, which is brand new. Effectively, we got Google and we've got Amazon. It was always Google and Amazon, but now you got ChatGPT, which might be the biggest one for B2C purchases in the not too distant future. Plus, Apple still has a play here. Siri, they're supposed to do an Apple Intelligence. They're going to probably be 5 or 6 companies, but ChatGPT is the big new dog in the space. But yeah, that point about Amazon is fascinating. What's their plan?
Exactly. Well, I think it's a bit of wait and see. I mean, Amazon seems to be, they're certainly making a lot of investments in AI themselves, but they're saying, hey, we want to kind of control this whole experience. We're not letting other people play in our sandbox. I think there's a little bit of wait and see to see, I think, how these things play out. To me, Andy, the other big element of this is Google. I mean, what is this all doing to Google? It's putting pressure on Google in so many different ways. I joke that Google's done. I mean, I don't think Google's not done, but look, their ad model, which generates a lot of their revenue, is under a lot of pressure, right? So, this is just another element of that. And I think that these AI agents have a real play for this B2C shopping. Now we'll see on the B2B side how this evolves, but I think, as everything else in our world of B2B, e-commerce, B2C continues to set, precedent and examples for use cases, but it could be adopted in B2B.
Sure, absolutely. And there's like smaller businesses, family-owned businesses, where it's one or two people doing the work of a team. They tend to act more like consumers. They will be the first ones
Sure.
who are using some of these technologies, and it will bleed over in some cases quickly, some cases slowly into B2B. But you and I both know, we've been at this long enough to know that what starts in B2C ends in B2B.
Well, just look at Amazon and Amazon Business and how much volume that Amazon Business is now doing, almost $80 billion or over that, this year. And so, yeah, it's a tremendous sort of path there, because the B2B buyer is a consumer. All right, we got to get to our topic today. And this is really fascinating, Andy, one that is very close to your heart. Will AI replace analyst research? Or research analysts, excuse me, folks like Forrester and Gartner and the kind of traditional businesses. Now, Andy, this is so close to your heart because you worked at Forrester. You ran the B2B e-commerce practice there for 7 years. You know this industry inside and out. And this is one that, as we look at AI and, its capabilities to answer questions intelligently and quickly and gather data, around key questions that you would get, and you'd have to go out and you'd have to pull that information yourself. And the market, by the way, is seeing this as a threat, right? I mean, just look at some of these numbers you pulled. Look at Gartner, right? What they're down 50% this year. Crazy.
Yeah, and I'm still a sole practitioner analyst too.
That's right. You're still in the business.
Right. So I still know what's going on, and I have a different vantage point here. But yeah, Gartner's down 50%. Their stock is down 50% in 2025.
Amazing.
Forrester down 44%.
That's incredible.
This is not a coincidence. It's indicative of something. Markets can underreact. They can overreact, more often overreact. Perhaps this was an overreaction. There's been a lot of, pronunciation of death around, Gartner and Forrester, but more Gartner because Gartner seemed to be immune from this stuff. Forrester's been on a little bit of a slide for a while now, but Gartner was on fire. I mean, with 30 some odd billion dollars at one point, I think they're closer to like 10, 12 now. So they've lost a lot of their value in the last couple of years. And it's because the models for both companies are similar in one regard. They're subscription-based models. And we'll talk about that here in a moment. But I thought it'd be helpful maybe to share with the audience the way I perceive an analyst job. I mean, some people have different versions of this. This is the way I see the world. Some of the people do different things, but there are really three buckets. There's the research that analysts do, which is reports they publish, models and frameworks, and a lot of the survey research and interviews that we do. So that's kind of the research component.
Yep.
Second area is the advisory consulting, which is sort of advisory, it's consulting on a small scale, which is 30-minute inquiries, which is heavily used by professionals. I personally think that's the most valuable component here. Then we do 2 to 3 hour working sessions. We do all-day workshops. We do comparisons and evaluations. This is the wave. This is the Magic Quadrant. In my case, the Combine, and now the e-Combine. And we do speeches at our own events, which, by the way, the events business for Gartner is like 10% of their business. And just to put that in perspective, how much larger Gartner is than Forrester. Gartner's events business is bigger than Forrester's business.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
So events are a big deal to Gartner.
Yeah.
And then the last area is project consulting, which is you've got some tactical projects and strategic work. This is, hiring Gartner or Forrester to figure out your digital strategy, do planning around, orgs and all that kind of stuff. But the big dog here is research. It's 70+% of their business, both companies.
Well, what's fascinating is if I'm an e-com executive, I'm a B2B e-commerce vice president at a big manufacturer distributor, and I have questions, right? I can just go on ChatGPT and ask the question. I need research. I need a data point around this. I need to understand the context of this. I mean, why even use an analyst anymore? I mean, that's, what actually, from your perspective, can, the AI agents do? You just shared what an analyst does. Which of these components are going to remain valuable to me if I'm a VP of ecom, and which can I just self-service on, and the analyst companies, won't be competitive anymore? What do you think?
Yeah. Well, one quick statement I'll make about that, just in general,
No,
is that the one area where analysts, I think, are still strong, especially on the research end of things, is where the implementation takes place.
I see.
ChatGPT can tell you, in theory, this is what you should do. In theory, this is what people might consider. These are things people have shared, but they don't necessarily, ChatGPT is not talking to people in the field. They're aggregating stuff. There's a lot of value in that. And frankly, there's, quantity has a quality all to its own. But if I'm working at an electrical distributor and I need to implement a PIM system, I kind of want to know how other electrical distributors are doing that. And that is where it gets a little difficult for the ChatGPTs of the world. They don't have that level of detail. They don't
Yes.
understand the nuances of that industry. So that's where an analyst who has an expertise there can make a difference.
Well, yeah, the part of that, Andy, is the yet, right? I mean, we know that agentic AI can reach out and call people and interview them. I mean, there's instances in the market right now where it's doing that. So I think, to me, it's the context elements of understanding my particular situation and the nuances of that. I mean, you bring in an analyst because they can understand that. At the same time, they understand the overall market trends. So, but there are areas where this truly, as AI gets smarter, it is a threat to this traditional model. And it's also an opportunity for executives and operating companies to get a faster answer. But the danger is getting the wrong answer, or, getting right. So where do you think AI can be a threat to that traditional analyst model?
Yeah, and I think you make a good point about timing. This is today.
Right.
3 years from now, it might be different. 10 years from now, it might be different. I think the space with AI is evolving so quickly, and it's hitting and in some cases missing in so many different ways that is literally impossible to decide. However, there's a clear trajectory here. I think the biggest threat is on the research side. So for those of you who can see the screen, we went through and said, okay, here are the different areas that analysts do work. And these are the areas where AI can do some of this work. Notice I didn't say better necessarily, because there's a quality component here that's still in play.
Right.
But short and long form reports, AI can write those. You can have AI write a report in 5 minutes. And you can even do deep research and say, give me all this and that. And it can get pretty close to what an analyst can do. Again, homemade stuff is always still better than factory manufactured. But if you can get pretty close to it, it might be good enough. The quant and the qual models and the frameworks, AI can definitely do this. In fact, in many ways, AI is faster and better at doing this. Now, there's a merger here where humans could be using these models, but at some point, if the models are that good, and if I have to pay for them, why can't I just have ChatGPT create the model? Give me a workflow that demonstrates this, this, and this. An analyst would take hours, days, weeks to put something together that ChatGPT could do in 20 minutes.
Right.
And by the way, revise it over and over and over again until you get to what you want. The source interviews and surveys, that's a little difficult because you're right. In theory, they could do agentic interview, but you have to know the people. Are you just going to answer an email from a bot? So there's still a personal dimension here that matters. Like if Gartner or Forrester, I reach out to you and say, I'd like to talk to you about something, versus, hi, this is bot 46321.
Yeah, but it's not going to say that, Andy. You better even know you're talking to an agent.
Well,
right?
But this begs for the companies like Forrester and Gartner using these technologies, right? Which is a whole nother story, because if they're using these technologies, there are survey research groups that aren't going to be employed doing this. But that's another discussion for another day.
Agentic Andy. Andy doesn't even exist. Are you even real? Right? Andy Hoare, you're an agent.
True.
Couldn't a Forrester or Gardner or some next gen, research company, Paradigm, whatever, come up with an agentic set of agentic agents that are people that we name? They're not actually people, but they simulate people, and they interview, they call you, they send you surveys, they provide you with results. This is, 10 years from now, or even 5 years from now, this is not out of the realm of possibility, Andy.
No,
personalities around these agents, right? To
It's
some
not.
degree.
No, it is definitely not out of the realm of possibility. In fact, that's a good segue to this next area, which is advisory consulting. Again, to put this in perspective, research is 70-80% of the revenue of these
Right.
companies.
Right.
Advisory and project consulting, et cetera, is the remaining 20%,
Mm-hmm.
and events as well. But if you just divide this up, it's a minority of what they're doing. And sadly for them, this is the area where the humans are still strong, meaning for the 20%, 20 to 30%, humans still kind of rule the day here, but the
Right.
70 to 80%, they don't. So there's going to have to be a model shift. But
Yeah.
around like advisory consulting, humans are still better at this. You want to talk to a human who's probably using these technologies, but you want to, apply it to your specific circumstances. Plus, there's
Right.
wisdom in these things. Things come and go. AI doesn't really understand fads, for example. But I did put an asterisk next to this one because, to your point, I do foresee a day, it's either 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, or 10 years away, where it will be an agentic agent of
Mm-hmm.
some sort. And you will just talk to Gartner's expert in this area, and it will be an avatar of a human will have infinite knowledge, and it won't be an actual person. I mean, that's just a reality. At some point, that's going to happen. So
Yep.
if Gardner and Forrester are smart, they should be thinking about that and thinking like, what's the real value we deliver? They trust, people trust us. We have a ton of
Right.
knowledge and we specialize in this stuff, but everything else is on the table, including the humans, meaning the analysts, which is, I know, an absolute heresy to say that, but hey, we look at the reality here. So these workshops, et cetera, humans are still better at that. Speeches, again, do you want an AI bot giving a speech at your event?
Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
But
Yep.
comparisons and evaluations, I'm sorry, this is happening right now. You can go to ChatGPT and ask it to create a table where you compare and contrast
Yeah.
all this stuff. I
Yep.
just introduced my e-combine, as you know,
Right.
and the e-combine is a step in this direction because it's a
Yeah.
self-service way of doing this.
Yep.
I think funny enough that Forrester and Gartner have not done something like that. I think because it would cannibalize their existing revenue stream. I don't have that problem because I'm more flexible and more nimble. But things like that are things they're going to have to start doing. AI-based models that replace the
Yep.
Wave and the Gartner Magic Quadrant. It's just going to happen. It's just,
Yeah.
this is their blockbuster moment. And that's the problem. Are they going to cannibalize themselves or be cannibalized?
Yeah.
The last
Yeah.
thing is this project consulting stuff. When I was at Forrester, we used to say, I didn't say this, but George Colony said this. We do consulting not because we want to, but because we have to. So it was a reluctance to really engage in that because it does, as you know, you work for an SI. That's the work of SIs and consult or in this consulting firms, right? The Bains, the
Yeah.
McKinseys, et cetera. That's a whole different model. You can't really scale that except with humans. And so that's not an area that Forrester wants to go into. So if you figure the research is under threat, the advisory consulting is the most valuable thing, but it's also very human intensive at this point. And project consulting is not something they want to do. What is the future of these businesses? And I
Right.
think it's about leveraging the reputation they have
Sure.
and using AI along with humans to deliver a new product. But I think they're still very much aligned with the idea that it's humans have to deliver this stuff. And in some cases that's true, but I think increasingly in most cases it's not.
Right. And in fact, I think this opens the opportunity for new models and the proprietary data that can go into AI and things like that they have gives them an advantage. But that's only, that's not necessarily sustainable forever. It's not, these models are well established. There's analysts like you in the market that, that know the approach, know how to build that. And if they have a new model for delivery, which is really what we're talking about here, delivery of information,
That's right.
most relevant and quickly in a context of what would be most helpful to a business leader, is that's their market, right? So it's about the delivery model, and it might be blockbuster moments it's a good analogy because you have to change the delivery model, just like Amazon. I mean, it's the same. I mean, it's the same. It's just disruptive. It's Uber. It's disruptive to to a traditional marketplace.
Yeah, and
By AI. Yep.
couldn't Blockbuster have become Netflix?
Yes. Absolutely.
And they didn't. And
No.
Netflix came along with a different model, upended it. Blockbuster's gone. Netflix is,
Yeah.
one of the top
Absolutely.
5 companies
Absolutely.
in the US in terms of probably market cap and influence up near the very top.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's the point, is that Gartner and Forrester better not be Blockbuster. They better be thinking about being Netflix. But to do that, they have to disrupt. And Netflix had to disrupt itself, as you recall.
Yes, it
Remember,
did.
they had
That's right.
the CDs and
Yep.
DVDs by mail, and then they came along and said, we have to disrupt our own.
Well
So
managed, man. Well
Blockbuster
managed.
got disrupted by Netflix's DVD business, and
Yep.
Netflix's DVD business got disrupted by Netflix's
By itself.
digital business.
Yeah, yeah. But both those companies have that opportunity, Gartner and Forrester. So we asked our community, Andy, what they thought about this question on LinkedIn. This is what they came back with. Will AI replace research analysts as the primary source of guidance for things like technology comparisons in B2B commerce? 86% said no. So I think there's still some level of trust in the traditional model. And I think there's some skepticism. I mean, your executives today going on asking for advice on what e-commerce platform I should select, for example, from ChatGPT, are going to be not getting really the answer they want. It may be a starting point, but it's going to mature, to your point earlier. Okay, so we're at Friday 20 plus, so we got to get to our announcements here, Mr. Hoare. The very interesting session today. Folks, I want to remind you all that our Master B2B Nexus program is available. It's a paid program. It provides expert advice. Speaking of consulting and advice, expert on-demand advice provided exclusively for B2B e-commerce folks. And we have a team of folks that are industry experts, former practitioners, as well as your peers that are on call with us that can help you quickly answer questions in understanding your context, which again, AI doesn't really do. Understand your context and help you quickly with answers. So go to masterb2b.com, check out Nexus.
But Brian, it is worth noting here
Yes,
that we
please.
use all tools available. We use AI
Oh
for
yeah,
some of
we
these
sure do.
things.
Sure we do.
And we think that this is the reason why this is particularly compelling, is because it's specific to your needs.
Yes.
And we get in, we get out. We're not there to spend years and bill hours. We are a kind of a special forces team. We're not an army. We don't want to be an army. And we're not one guy. We're not, John McClane from Die Hard. We're a special forces team, and you can have, the expertise you need and do the, complete the mission and get out.
Yeah, we did. Yesterday, I was on a call where we brought in a former Amazon person and myself, and we talked with an executive at a big distributor specifically about some Amazon questions. And he walked away with 3 or 4 things he could act on immediately. And we did it in 30 minutes. So that's the idea here, guys. So also want to remind folks that Master B2B Forum is available to you. It is free for practitioners. It's a private online community, only practitioners. Conversations happening every day. Just this week, 3 or 4 questions about technologies, someone hiring, for roles, getting referrals. This is a great place for you to network online when you're not at a conference. It's 24/7. So check it out. Again, free, masterb2b.com. Look at the forum. And finally, I want to remind everyone that our podcast, sessions are available via podcast on your favorite podcast service. Please give us a rating and review. Only if positive. Just kidding. No, not kidding. But seriously, we really appreciate those reviews, folks. So thank you very much. And finally, Andy, we're in 2 markets next week. You're in Chicago. I'm in Minneapolis. We'll be meeting with folks from across the industry in our executive roundtables. If you happen to be one of those markets, check it out. They're listed on our website under events, and you can register to join us. So, Andy, any final words before we wrap our Friday 20 plus again?
Yeah. So these in-market the roundtables we're having in these cities, these local roundtables, are about budgeting and AI in particular, and what impact AI. And I've done a couple of these. They are fascinating. What people are talking about, absolutely fascinating. So if you live in that city and you want to come, let us know. It will be well worth your time.
Absolutely, folks. So take a look at that. Again, those are free for practitioners to join. So if you're active at a manufacturer distributor, please take a look, and we'd love to see you. So Andy, good session again today. Fascinating to see the changes in the world, again, being driven by AI everywhere. So folks, we will see you on our next Friday 15. Thanks for joining again this week.